Welcome to our STARS contribution import training. This training will cover how to import the contribution file, review the uploaded data, and update as needed. Then submit the contributions to STARS and post to the members' records. As we move on to the information on importing and manual reporting of contributions, it is important to remember to update the demographics appropriately for each member timely. New hires and employment status could have an impact on the contribution file with errors and warnings. As we view the employer self-service homepage, I've already logged into the appropriate employer that I'm working with today. Normally, you would have that two-factor authentication. So we're going to move into add the import which is step one in the contribution import file process. From the menu, click on Add Import. We're going to be following this upload a file wizard in order to update the information that's going to be imported. Our file we're using today is a contribution import file. I'm going to go ahead and browse for the information for that particular file that we're going to be uploading. And my description is going to be the pay period ending date. The employer, you can enter in any information that you would like to for a description of the file. The EPSL. Combining EPSL contributions or not. EPSL is the legacy rate, which is a portion of the employer rate reported in the actuarial valuation report. This EPSL or legacy employer rate can be rolled up into the normal employer rate and combined, or it can be reported separately. The employer will need to flag yes if the legacy rate is combined, or no if the EPSL legacy rate is a separate line item in the employer file. This employer does not combine, so I am going to leave it as no. Contributions remitted are tracked by the pay period ending date, where previously only the pay period ending date was needed when uploading a contribution file. STARS requires notification of both the pay period start date and the pay period end date. And type of file. Is it regular or adjustment? A regular file is the pay period ending only without any adjustments. An adjustment report is for any prior pay periods that have contributions that need to be remitted or adjusted. STARS requires the pay period start date and the pay period end date. For adjustments, the pay period start date will be the beginning of the earliest pay period reported, and the pay period ending will be the most current or last pay period ending being remitted. This file is a regular contribution file, so we're going to go ahead and indicate that and move on. The wizard will provide the window to review information regarding the file that it requested. If after reviewing the data, there is information that is not input correctly, you can go ahead and click on the previous button here in order to update the information that's needed for this imported file or cancel altogether. The information is correct for this upload that I'm going to be processing, so I am going to confirm. And STARS will note that the file has been submitted. And one of those extra steps that STARS does, it will validate the information that was uploaded and confirm that. Depending upon the size of the file, would also impact the validation step. This is a smaller file that I am using as the example, so validation was rather quick, which is very nice. It could take a bit longer for that validation step to be completed, but STARS will let you know when that is done. And you can go on to work other things within STARS or exit completely. It will still go through that validation process, even if you're not logged in to this screen. As you'll note with this with this file that we've updated, it has been validated and it's been issued an import header ID. We're going to go ahead and click on that because we can go in and verify and review information that's here. We do see that there are some warnings on this record. As with warnings, we can go ahead and proceed. The warnings will not hinder us from taking the steps in order to process this imported file. If needed, we can view the import details through this edit button. The data viewed will appear just as it is uploaded from the file. We can make any updates to this information. If there are any warnings and errors here, we would apply and then save. We're going to take this and move on with this part of the process. This is the second step in the import process, where we are going to go ahead and click on Process to move forward and create the work reports. As we can see, the process has been successful, and stars will indicate this, both with a message here in green, and also to note that it has been processed successfully in the import summary. Before moving on, if you would like to, you can go ahead and click on the snowman here, view the errors, and take a look at all of those all warnings. Both will appear in this view. And since we have processed this information, it does note that each line has been added successfully. But just to show, you can export the error list if you would choose to, and that way you can go ahead and take that error or warnings list and work offline until that is fixed, and you can update the members' records appropriately. So as you can see from the import history view, this particular import has been processed successfully. The import header ID is going to be set just for this view of the import process. We're going to move on to the third step in importing contributions, and that is the work reports. Reviewing the information here in the Work Reports tab, you'll notice that there is multiple lines for the pay period ending. What happens is if you are a Tier 3 risk pool employer, there will be now two separate lines of information to track: the Tier 3 risk pool and the Tier 1 and Tier 2 contribution reporting. Please note as you're reviewing these line items that there is the due date here in one of the columns. Remember, the due date is when payment for contributions imported needs to be paid or interest will be added. We're going to move on and take a look at information regarding this risk pool portion of the contributions that were imported. And this provides us a summary of the work report, which breaks down just the data that we did note when we were going through the upload wizard, which is the pay period start date, pay period end date. The system will note the due date here. Down in financial summary here in this section, it will provide per contribution code the amounts that were calculated for this particular risk pool group. We're going to go ahead and click on Work Report Editor, and this is where you can make changes to specific columns of information that are in this view of the imported file. So we have the contribution code, members' pensionable salary, reported employee contribution, and reported employer contributions that we can make changes to. Stars will show the calculated employee contribution and calculated employer contribution. You can also sort ascending or descending by the columns of information. So I'm going to take a look here. I want to go ahead and get the errors or warnings that we have on this file showing first. Now, as again, with warnings, this information can be revised or it does not have to be. Keep in mind that when the work report is completed and submitted, what is invoiced will be the calculated amounts. So we do have a rounding issue here. So I'm going to go ahead and show that it's real easy to go ahead and update this information so that it does report what is being calculated in this case. And it's those three. The next step in order to have this information updated, truly updated, is we need to apply. Once that update has been applied, the warnings do not appear any longer. We're going to go ahead and save that update. And STARS will provide us with a confirmation that the information has been successfully saved. One extra step we're going to go ahead and do is in the report work editor, we're going to go ahead and click on the snowman and we're going to validate and confirm the validation. And STARS will let us know that this information has been validated successfully. Again, what that validation does is it's looking at what is being reported to what STARS is showing that needs to be reported, and so it will go ahead and go through that confirmation. Once that is completed, and if there are no further updates to the work report editor, everything looks good, we're going to go ahead and submit this work report. And we're going to confirm. Close. Once this step is completed, we can go back to the work reports window. And we can see that um, there is now an extra line because that tier 3 risk pool group had an individual or individuals that had chosen to participate in the DC or defined contribution plan. So what this line is now reporting for these DC information is that tier 3 member has EPSL, which is a separate line item because that DC reported contribution goes to nationwide, but the EPSL and the disability and health insurance subsidy contributions come to public safety. So this DC component here is that um, DCDT, which is the disability and the EPSL. So as you move forward in the work report step, this third step, we do still have the tier 1 and tier 2 group with which to ensure that we can have that submitted. There are no issues with this file, so I'm not going to go ahead and go into work report editor because everything does look good from the imported file. And I'm going to go ahead and submit this one now too. Once that report has been submitted, it will show released here on the work reports main menu. And be sure to keep in mind that you now have 3 lines of data, that 3 work reports that have been remitted for that pay period ending in order to account for those DC components and that tier 3 risk pool. So please keep that in mind, that a lot of our employers will have that tier 3 who participate in that tier 3 risk pool will have those separate line items that they'll need to take into account for when reviewing the work reports and also when making payments. This concludes the three-step process for contribution imports. Thank you for viewing and have a great day.